I also need to be convinced not to name the episode six times.
Like, yeah, X6.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Seriously Loco, the Seriously Crazy fan podcast for El Paso Locomotive FC. I'm Phil Bakke, and I'm joined tonight by Mika Burrell. Mika, how's your Thursday night?
Not too bad. I mean, we've been talking a while now, and I've been fighting for my life at work. Sounds like you have been as well. But other than that, doing all right. What about you, Phil?
Yeah, all good. Each week of work is its own war at the moment, but not that far away from a weekend, and off the back of a big Locomotive victory, so got some wind in our sails after a rough stretch for Locomotive. But I mean, a lot to talk about, I guess. Well, obviously, for those of you who are finding the podcast for the first time, check us out on all the major podcast platforms. But we'll be talking about Locomotive's defeat of Las Vegas and what to make of a 6-0 win, a record win in club history. And then we'll look ahead to a matchup against the Miami FC of which we match up with, or I guess kick off against in like 48 hours. So, right. Big matchup coming up for Locomotive to try to continue the momentum. But Mika, I mean, 6-0, obviously there's a bit of sticker shock probably for people who have not been paying close attention to Locomotive season, and certainly there was shock for us that have and are following them week in and week out, because 6-0, the offense had dried up recently. For them to storm back like this, it probably feels pretty good, and there's context around this game that makes the 6-0, that sort of qualifies the 6-0 win a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's the old cliche, you can only beat what's in front of you, and we certainly did just that.
Yeah.
Could have been worse, actually, for Las Vegas Lights, if I'm being honest. But yeah, you're right to say that there might be a bit of a shock for someone who's just been following the results and not really following too closely the Locomotive season. But yeah, I mean, you do have to give credit for getting the result. And I think they're finally, it seems anyways, building some positive momentum. We had the the win against Union Omaha. What was a dead rubber, of course.
Yeah.
And so, I think when we said it as much that, even though it was a dead rubber, we were still looking to build some momentum from that. And I think clearly we did. That's 2 clean sheets. In different competitions, obviously, and it is a weak Las Vegas side. I think they've lost a couple of players. Valentin Noel, notably, moving to the team up the road there. Yeah. And then, of course, Antonio Nocerino, of course, being relieved of his duties as Las Vegas has finally decided it wasn't good enough. So they're going through a bit of a transition period, and I think we caught them at a bad time for them. Obviously, we joke often on this show that, like, new manager bounce always goes against us. Well, we were able to avoid it at least this time, because they did appoint their more permanent guy after this game. So yeah, I think it's an important win. I think we can't extrapolate too much out of it, because again, this is a really weakened Las Vegas Lights that I think after like the third goal came in, they were just kind of resigned to defeat. It almost felt like. But yeah, a record-breaking night in a couple of ways, so we do have to acknowledge that as well. But overall, I think, we just have to be pleased, but not go too overboard.
Yeah, like you said, I think the fact that there is a new manager in town now for Vegas, which, obviously not that relevant in terms of Devin Rensing is the guy who's been brought in. He's a former assistant now of Ben Pierman at Charleston Battery, and he's in. And maybe it was, maybe some of the players for Lights, I don't want to say saw the writing on the wall, but maybe there's been a bit of, with a couple of these departures, it seems quite clear that Vegas is committed to a full sort of rebuild and retooling under Rensing. So that means that a lot of these guys who were brought in either under Dennis Sanchez last year or now, Notarino, as you mentioned, a handful of them are probably talking to their agent about what else is out there. And so it did seem like, rather than an audition for the new boss, it seemed like a lot of these guys are maybe resigned to the fact that they may not be playing for Lights for much longer, which is an unfortunate way for the project to go, given that this was a team that was very, very close to hosting a USL final last year. Like they were beaten in the semis, I guess, by Colorado, or in the conference final by Colorado Springs, and knocked off New Mexico and all of that stuff. So so that is sort of the elephant in the room. But like you said, Locomotive have to beat who's in front of them, and they did resoundingly. Like this was a very comprehensive victory. It obviously, maybe the scoreline gets a bit ugly, like you said, after the third goal. But talking about the lineup and sort of the personnel involved, we maybe didn't see as much of a shakeup as we thought we might going into the game, because Christian Sordo, new signing, we didn't even get a chance to talk about the fact that he's really been added, on the podcast yet. But Sordo really played quite well in Omaha, and it's a team, Locomotive had been struggling for goals. Little bit of revitalization along the front line, all that stuff. Obviously, the departures of Toomey and Daniel Carter, and in the end, it ends up not mattering. But the sort of typical lineup kind of gets the job done, with some substitutions late on. But it was sort of Wilmer avoiding a shakeup in favor of the more favored personnel.
Yeah, I think I had tweeted about it on the night that had surprised me, given Sorto's performance in Omaha. He was the reason that we scored the goal. I mean, he had that wicked shot off the upright that just bounced into Beto Avila's path, and he was able to just nestle it home. It's funny because I think we've wanted more from Beto Avila. And since Sorto's come in, he's scored 2 goals. So there you have it. I mean, that's football, I guess. But I was surprised not to see him start. Did come on later on, and I think actually, I mean, his first involvement is like a wicked curler that Rosarena has to really reach for. So that looks promising. But as far as the lineup itself, I think really the only maybe like surprise, or not even a surprise, but just the place where we see the most change week to week is just in the fullback positions. So Ruiz and Quesada are trusted for this one. And then Gabi Torres, of course, still, being the midfielder now that we know him as, rather than a fullback that he came in as. And then I think I don't know, maybe I'm again trying to extrapolate too much out of this when I shouldn't, but I think Ortiz and Tumasi is, to me, becoming the ideal center back partnership, or at least it looks like it to me from this game, just because I think they complement each other very well. I mean, Wahab Akwe, ever since the mistake against Phoenix, I mean, we just really haven't seen too much of him, and I don't know how fair or not that is.
Yeah,
but
it's kind of wild, like how frozen out he's been, like, or whether there's an injury, like, and that's what it's really tough to say necessarily, like what's gone on, but it does seem. Well,
when you hook him at halftime, yeah. So, and which I think is unfortunate, because I think Wahab has traits that are useful. But yeah, so, and then of course Daroma and Calvillo in midfield, expected, and then the front three that we know and love, Moreno, Avila, and Cabrera Jr. So, but yeah, overall fine lineup. I think it was more than enough against this again weakened Vegas side. And yeah, they end up scoring a ton of goals, 6 goals, and none of them by Andy Cabrera, which is fascinating.
Yeah,
because we were worried about are we becoming too reliant on him, and he said as much. It's, on a given night it's me, but it'll be somebody else next time. And I mean, he turned provider on the night. So, yeah, ultimately the selection was spot on.
You had mentioned the dynamic of Gabi Torres and Ricky Ruiz, and it's gone kind of back and forth over this tougher stretch for Locomotive where we saw Wilmer go to deploying Gabi Torres in midfield, and we sort of talked about the fact that, hey, maybe it's just better. Ricky had a couple of challenging games defensively. Also, he wasn't like providing as much like going forward. So we were basically asking the question of, does it just make more sense, in sort of the Trent Alexander-Arnold sort of conversation of, should Gabi just be deployed as a fullback because you get the best of him, when he's playing fullback? And in this particular game, him being in midfield allowed him to, in the buildup for that first goal, I guess in particular, he's in that midfield space. He's able to get a hold of the ball, dribble into a dangerous area, and then almost dribbles into an area that you'd expect the fullback to be in an attacking way, and delivers a devastating cross in which Amano Moreno heads home. But the reality of Gabi Torres is that, like, when a team permits him, and I'm not saying that Vegas were just letting him do whatever he wanted without opposition, but when a team permits him to be as involved as Gabi Torres was in this game, you're going to pay a quite steep price, because Gabi Torres just simply is like our best player. I would say when you look at like a holistic sense, it just feels like Gabi is, or maybe the most impactful would be the easier
I would
way
say
to,
the most consistent in terms of performances.
Sure.
Yeah. Over the course of the season thus far, I think he's been the most consistent, with maybe a close second being Frank DeRoma or maybe Andy Cabrera, whichever one we could argue about that one for sure. But yeah, it's felt to me like Lights didn't know like that Gabi Torres is a threat, because before the goal, we take that one free kick and he has a blast from like 35 yards that nobody seems remotely interested in closing down, and that could have snuck in. Rosarino was diving for sure. That was moving. And so I mean, that was literally a warning shot of what was to come on the night for him and from him. So yeah, I don't know if Lights have just like given up on scouting for the season. Like, I understand a rebuild, but come on, you need to do some due diligence. And it was wild watching them like step off him and just let him run the game. So I think you're absolutely right. I mean, you let a player as technical and as smart and athletic as him run riot, it's going to be a long night for you.
The cross itself, just on the money, I guess, is an easy way to characterize it. Can
I just say quickly before the cross, though, some of the one-touch passing just outside the D, very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice indeed. Like, it was, obviously the final pass is excellent, but the build-up before it was very good too. Yeah,
and I think it's Eric who... Quezada into maybe it's Moreno who actually lays it off, which that was so Quezada like to Calvillo to Moreno to Calvillo out to Gabi and then back into Moreno. So yeah, quite a flowing move, and it was, I think it was at this point of the game, it was still obviously very much a contest, just approaching the 20-minute mark and all that sort of stuff. Lights were very much, there was no sense of capitulation or something like that this early in the game. This was very much a contested goal and all that sort of stuff. And what was interesting is because, looking at this game in hindsight, it's obviously quite easy to just say like, 6-0, like Vegas just never put up a fight. They were completely, they just laid down. There are a couple of chances for lights, and some of this is self-inflicted from Locomotive, I think is fair to say, but there are a couple of chances for lights in the first half. One from Johnny Rodriguez, but then there's another one that falls to Joe Zhao, I think. Now this is after it's already 2-0, so we can talk about the second goal for Locomotive, but there's a chance that comes from like a little bit of, and I hate to dig a player out who, again, has been, when he's playing for us, is like probably one of our most like technically gifted players, Palermo Ortiz. He gets he just dallies on the ball a little bit, and the pass ends up coming across to Joe Zhao, who has like a blast, and Jamali Waite makes one of probably his best saves of the season. And at that point, it is like, it would have been 2-1. Do Vegas get like a little bit of, momentum, all that sort of stuff? And so the chance for Johnny Rodriguez, like shortly after we scored, the chance at 2-0, there is still a little bit of, I think, like maybe this is the area of concern, is just Locomotive just do always feel kind of capable of giving this goal up, even when they are full, like well on top in games. They just feel capable of conceding this sort of, nothing goal, or like maybe not sensing the danger is maybe the easier way to put it.
I mean, I think we joked about it, like, we're playing with the lead again.
Yeah.
Because, it always feels a bit fraught. And I think the Palermo Ortiz giveaway that leads to Joe Zhao's shot, and admittedly an excellent save by Jamali Waite, who, when called on, has been great. That's not something you want to see a veteran player like him doing. He tries to like pass it through his legs.
Yeah.
Out from the back. And I'm like, no, like never. Like I'm okay with a long ball there, like just a clearance, or even like put it out to touch. You know what I mean? But he makes the wrong decision, and it's just like, not good enough. And actually, it's funny because he was kind of ornery on the night. Palermo was. Mm-hmm. Kind of giving folks an earful when crosses would come in and things like that. And, I'm all about having a veteran back there that can marshal things, but it was a little bit strange from him. And, luckily Jamali's able to close the angle down, and Zhao really, that was his one kind of contribution on the night right before the half, I think. Right.
Yeah.
Where it had already been 2-0 up, but you're absolutely right. It always feels fraught, and I don't know what can be done. Like, do you think it's a coaching thing, or like I don't know, like surely if we notice it, then they definitely do, right? I mean,
I'm sure they have to. I think I think what's interesting about this one in particular is that they did stop the rot at halftime. Mm-hmm. Like, lights absolutely offered 0 in the second half. So there was no sort of letting them back in, which makes me think like, okay, once Wilmer was able to get them in and be like, lads, it's lights, or whatever, like halftime talk, he like gave, it just feels like maybe there was a settling that happened.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it is just I don't know. It's hard to kind of pinpoint, because my gut sort of reaction is, well, because this is something that they're dealing with in real time, like on the pitch, is it a reflex basically of this team has enough people who are around for, what was a disaster of a season last season, where if we conceded first, we definitely weren't coming back. And if we had the lead, we were definitely losing it. Right. And there was a bit of, I just wonder how much of
inevitability
this,
about
like,
that?
yeah, I just wonder how much of the sort of subconscious maybe like retreat occurs when it's like, okay, we've got the lead, we've got to like hang on to it, and it's like, no, we can continue to press our advantage, we've been the better side, we have tons of the ball, we have like, you know,
like
you
by
don't
trying
have
to play within yourself, you actually expose yourself.
yeah, where it's like, no, don't let them back it, like don't step off of their neck, like you've got them, you know, like you're well on top, you're tearing them apart, like you've got what you need, just like keep just keep playing assertive, and I think it's in those moments where we play a bit passively that it feels maybe more inevitable that something is about to happen.
I think I said it the last time we talked of like, and maybe this makes more sense now having seen it yet again, of like we play like a team that defends better than we do. Like, like there are teams that can manage a game like that and it'll be fine. We're not one of those.
No.
So we might as well keep pressing and going forward than than trying to like consolidate something.
And there was an element of like, you know, like I said, it's like we get out of halftime and it was effectively the match as a contest is over. Basically the second the halftime kickoff was taken, it was just like complete domination. I do want to talk about briefly the goal from Quezada, not to overshadow it. It is a bit of a, you know, it's one of those in that he has a hit. He's really lucky with the deflection. It finds its way, you know, wrong foot's a Rosarena. He's not able to get over to it. And sort of the larger talking point of this goal is that if it had not been a goal, the idea that this isn't a penalty and maybe potentially a red card for Lights is, I think the referees like let off the hook pretty drastically by this deflection.
1,000 million %. Yeah, this is one of those ball don't lie kind of scenarios. It's absolutely a penalty that I think it's Heretic drags down Moreno. Is that right?
Yeah.
Who he had like elbowed in the back of the occiput for the first goal. So yeah, he and Jones, who I think is on loan from an MLS side, Nate Jones. Shocking. Like shocking defending and shocking like challenges. Like both of them I think end up on yellow cards. Both of them probably could have gone. And yeah, I think Elijio Araguin just misses this completely. Like, this is absolutely a stonewall. He's pulling his shoulder back. He cannot run forward.
Yeah.
You know, and Amanda Moreno, we know like one of his attributes is like his balance. So he's really not going to be going down super easily.
Right.
So yeah, it's absolutely a penalty.
Yeah.
And I think the referee, he spared his blushes. He's like, you can see kind of right before Quesada takes the strike, Araguin is like in the corner, like wagging his finger like, no, never a pen. I'm like, are you blind? Like that sequence was like in slow motion.
Yeah.
So yeah, that annoyed me, but I'm glad that Quesada was able to squeeze that one through. Because he's a player, he's an interesting player because I think he's had like he tries things and they don't always come off, and sometimes when they don't come off, it's like disastrous. Like it's a big turnover or something like that. So you know, when he does try something like this, I'm glad that he was able to be rewarded because, you know, for what it's worth, I don't think you want to like coach that kind of instinct out of a player. So
no, for sure. And I think largely he's been on, like come out of most games, maybe in the positive side for me in terms of like the way that some guys have carried through the season.
For sure.
I'd say he's more on the plus than minus. Like I feel better about Quezada than I did certainly at the beginning of the season.
Put it this way, he's had more of an impact than Memo Diaz, which I think we are surprised by. Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's I think he's been a very important signing, and the fact of the matter is he's been done more good than bad for sure. Second half, there's a sort of immediate controversy again. This time, it's basically right after the halftime kickoff. Locomotive get forward, nice passage of play, and it's a absolutely ridiculous pass from Gabi Torres finds Wilmer Cabrera, and Wilmer Cabrera, or Andy Cabrera, I should say, he falls victim to like the old adage in soccer, which is essentially as long as you get the shot away, it doesn't matter what the defender does. And on replay, this was like maybe the more egregious of the two penalty incidences because it's so impacted the power with which Cabrera is actually able to get the shot away. Because this was Jones diving in, and it's late, it's nowhere near the ball, and Andy is essentially penalized because the shot trickles to a Rosarena, even though if he had been able to actually fully shoot without the challenge coming in, he probably puts that one away.
Yeah, I think this is the even more shocking one, and I kind of wish we had another angle of it, because while I absolutely agree with what you're saying, that like this whole idea of like you got the shot away, so there's never a penalty, which is asinine. That's not what the rules say. But I wonder almost if the defender is the one playing the ball towards his keeper rather than Andy having gotten the shot off because of the angle of the challenge. I mean, are we even sure that Andy did get to shoot, you know? So I don't know. I could be putting on the tinfoil hat a little too tight there, but
is it the defender sort of like his
slamming his foot into the ball?
Like his follow through, gets Cabrera, then gets the ball. Like
right. Yeah. So yeah, and it's incredible that he found that space there, and it's actually it's Jones who's ruining the offside line as well.
Yeah.
That keeps him there in that space, and then Gabi's able to find him like a freaking number 10.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a bad non-call again, and again, Adegin is well placed. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I just don't know if he like had. I don't know. I was gonna make a gambling joke because it's Vegas, but maybe I shouldn't, slander a referee on our podcast. But it was just wild. Like, yeah, this should have been 8-0, assuming we scored both those penalties.
Yeah. Well, and it's odd because it's like, do you wonder if it's a 1-0 game or a 1-1 game, or if Locomotive's trailing, like, is it called different? Right. And that's that's the difficult thing about referees is like game state obviously should not impact the way that they enforce the rules of the game. And it definitely does. And it's like the fact that this is 2-0, Locomotive have been well on top, all that sort of stuff. Like, is that influencing like how the referee is actually calling the game to avoid it being some like absurd, crooked number on the scoreboard for Locomotive?
Now that I think about it, it almost makes me feel like he didn't want to send anyone off rather than he didn't want to give penalties. Because if you do give the penalties, surely both of these things are cards. Mm-hmm. And Gertic, I don't know if Jones was booked at that point yet, but I think Gertic already had been.
Yeah.
So, and they were both still like wiling out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know which it is, but you're absolutely right that for whatever reason, game state appeared to play a role in this, and it really shouldn't have. I mean, these are just the rules. Like, he ruins the offside trap, leaves this huge gaping space. Of course, like, if he's going to come through the back of the player, then like that's absolutely a penalty. I don't know. Just I'm glad of the result, because I'd be even more fuming if it had actually impacted us getting 3 points.
Yeah. The goal parade that sort of proceeds from here, it was kind of strange actually in a couple of instances, because there's a couple of these that look quite similar in their construction, but the first is sort of the first, like, you hate to say like comedy goal or whatever, but sort of because it's a decent move from Locomotive, like through midfield to attack. But the actual hockey assist, I guess you would say, comes from Nigro, I think. Like, he just straight up kicks it off of, like, I think it's Cabrera's trying to, like, basically trying to take control of it. Or no, is it actually Moreno who ends up on that side? Yeah. So Moreno has, like, drifted over to the right. He's trying to dribble into the box and shape. It gets taken off of his toe, and it just happens to fall, like, to the feet of Andy Cabrera, who cuts it back for Calvillo to put away. It's a good goal, don't get me wrong, good finish as well. And the way it comes about, it just starts to feel a little bit like, okay, this is kind of it, where it's like super bad bounce for Lights, and Cabrera's in tons of space, and Calvillo has, like, made his way into the box. So it's just like a recipe for disaster, for Lights, and Locomotive are able to capitalize.
Yeah, I mean, once again, it's really good, like, third man play, if you will, because there again, we've got, like, one of our, like, Smurf forwards, like, backing into one of these giant defenders to lay it off, and it's really pleasing to the eye to watch these kind of goals. But yeah, at the same time, you do have to, like, take into consideration that we were playing around traffic cones at this point. And maybe Lights had some shame of, like, yeah, we've been let off with some of these non-calls.
Sure.
So, like, we can't step in yet again, but, unfortunately it's past Rosarena. And I mean, I'm so pleased for Eric Calvillo, because I think we've had some concerns, whether we've expressed them or not on this podcast, I don't remember, but of just, like, is the team, like, moving a little bit past him, or is it going that way, if not right now? But, he's proven that he can still, make an impact. And I think when he scores goals, like, it's very clear that his confidence goes up a level, because then he started, like, shooting from outside the box and, like, things that he doesn't always do. So yeah, for him to get a double on the night, was great. But yeah, also, I just want to briefly, because I kind of talked about it at the top of the show, but I think before Eric's second goal, I think Christian Sorto had come on, right, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes.
And his first involvement is that, like, curler, which I'm like, for all, I don't know, like, Sorto, I don't know why I thought he was, like, much older than he is, but he's only 25 years old. He looks very fit. Like,
that
he looks up to speed. And that encourages me.
Totally agree. I think that surprised me because of the lack of minutes that he's had for Loudon.
Right.
I was concerned about, like, oh, is it going to take him time to get back up to game speed? Similarly thought, just for the amount of time he's been around the league, definitely thought he was older than he is.
Yeah.
And the way he, I can't remember who gets isolated with him out wide. It might actually just be Budati, like, tracking back, but him. Does a nice, like, chop back. He does that sort of, like, chop back onto his right foot, and the confidence to go for goal from what is, like, admittedly not a good angle, but he just, like, he gets the run on, chops it back, and then without taking another touch, like, curls it towards the far post, and it is on target. My only wish is that it had curled in, because what a banger that would have been, like, for your first goal for the club. But I was certainly encouraged by the fact that, fitness wise, he's not going to need any time to bed in. Like, he's clearly got up to speed, which is nice to see for a guy that just, like, he just struggled for minutes in Loudon for whatever reason, and he's struggled.
It's his shot. It's his chalk back, and then the shot that keeps that phase going, where Calvillo eventually scores. So
right,
fair play to him. He's certainly made an impact, even though it's not showing on the score sheet.
Yeah.
So that I've been pleasantly, like, really surprised and pleased with what we've seen from him, because you're absolutely right. Like, a mid-season signing, like that's the last thing we need is someone who has to like get fit. Like, no, we need impact right now.
Yeah.
And it looks like he can operate wide as well as through the middle, so that's nice.
Yeah.
Just so that we can keep things fresh and not get too predictable. But I just wanted to shout him out because even though it doesn't go in, like it's just really nice play.
Yeah, absolutely. We should talk about Beto Avila's goal as well. That was the 4-0. It's Gabi Torres down the left once again, as per. This is a classic case of, so it's from a Jamali Waite goal kick, and it just completely, like, Vegas never recovers. Like, they are all upfield. This ends up basically being a 3v2 rush, you know, if you will, to borrow a hockey term, like odd man rush. And it, like, it's crazy. This is sort of the surrender goal for me, in terms of like, okay, it's now clear that Vegas has surrendered. Like, the game is over.
Waving the white flag.
Yeah, Gertig gets caught out wide against, you know, Budati's tracking back. Coleman Gannon is running back. He's 50 yards from goal still. Like, he's not going to impact the play at all. So Gabi has two options in the box, and Jones, for whatever reason, has run to defend the near post. And he runs past Beto Avila to get there. Like,
he does. That is a wild decision.
Like, I think it's Andy who made the run to the near post, which is by far the less dangerous option, right? Like, if he finds Cabrera here, Cabrera would have tons of work to do to actually score from that near post. Like, he either has to have like a perfect glancing header, or he's going to have to control the ball and all that sort of stuff. Jones straight up runs past Beto Avila and goes to the near post, and like the cross, all it is it's just to the penalty spot. Like, there's nothing crazy about. Now, it's a great delivery. Don't get me wrong. It's a great ball in, and Beto Avila's finish is quite good as well. And he must have felt like, how am I possibly in this much space in the box? Like, just no one bothered. And then everybody else tracking back was too far away from the play. So this is one where it was just like, man, like, for effectively 9 players to be taken out of a play by a punt from the keeper. That's crazy work from Lights. Like, that's just nuts.
Heinous behavior.
Yeah, like that. And like I said, I don't know, it just felt like a FIFA goal that you score in like an online game that's gotten like way out of hand. Where it's
and
like,
then the other guy disconnects
2 or whatever. Yeah. And it's just, and yeah, your opponent has disconnected. It did kind of feel like one of those where it's like, in what world should Beto Avila have that sort of space in the box? Which sort of informs like the other goals, because there just ends up, Vegas just isn't winning anything. Like, there's no layoff, there's no pass, that is like, nothing is being impacted by Lights at this point. It is simply like Locomotive playing around cones, like you said.
Yeah, no, it's great from Jamali, obviously, to.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great spot. Like,
yeah, just to put the right amount of like pace on it, so that Gabi can get to it. And you know, maybe if there's some mitigation, I don't know. Maybe Gertig, like, if you're gonna do one of your like wild tackles, maybe you just take Gabi Torres out there, because it seemed like he could have gotten there, and then he kind of pulls up a little bit, thinking I'll just try and defend the cross. But yeah, good cross. And I know that you're right, that Beto's like, how can I be in this much space? Because he's kind of like celebrating before he hits it. Like, I swear his arms are already up. Like, frame if you watch like frame by frame. And maybe it's part of his shooting technique, and I'm
The no
taking the
look.
piss a little bit, but like he knew that was going in, and he hits it like so clean. Like, that's
Yeah.
something you see in training.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I don't know if we're gonna see another like 3-on-2 ending in a volley
Yeah.
goal again like that this season, because that was like you said, crazy work. Side note, is it just me, or are the tension on our nets like too tight? 'Cause sometimes I'm like, did the goal go in? Because like the net barely ripples.
Yeah.
But anyway,
That
very
actually that actually comes into play as on the last goal, because
it caught Duke out.
Caught Duke out completely. And I don't blame him, because it hits the stanchion and the net is so tight. So it's just like it bounces straight back out, which is just not something that you typically see. But very cool moment, like for all of the mitigating circumstances that we're talking about. Obviously, very, very cool moment in that Emiliano Rodriguez comes into the game, which I'm gonna just be transparent with the listening public. He's called Emiliano on the broadcast, and I think like on social media and stuff like that. The broadcast listed him as Mario, and FotMob calls him something completely different.
I thought FotMob called him Mario too. What do they call him?
Or maybe they call him Mario. I thought there was a third name floating around. Okay, yeah, Mario. So Emiliano, Mario, but he comes into the game for Armando Moreno late on, and it is another cutback.
Mm-hmm.
He's in acres of space, but he has made this run, which I think this is maybe the broader point of what I wanted to talk about. But first, to give him his flowers, he takes a touch. The tracking back almost gets to him, but luckily he gets the shot away in time. And it is a very, very clean hit from Rodriguez to score his first goal for the club. And yeah, just a very cool moment to sort of put the cherry on top of a historic win for the club. And I think my question, Mika, for you is, we talk about sort of that third man play, that late run. We've talked about it for literally years now and we talk about it in the context of Eric Calvillo, of where we think he's the best is when he has the freedom to operate in and around the penalty area in attack and be that sort of late run. Emi Rodriguez scores a goal from making that late run. My question for you is there a hesitance or maybe an inability to make these sorts of runs against teams that threaten us more? And it was only the fact that we felt sort of dominant in this game that the midfielders felt comfortable making these runs? Or is this something that is maybe coming into the game now and Wilmer's emphasizing more, and maybe this is the start of seeing this more going forward?
That's a really interesting point. I think, let me think. I mean, the Eric's goal, his second goal, is, I mean, we do have possession here and we're able to like create this goal, right? But the other two, Beto's volley and then of course Emiliano's to make it 6, come from long balls, come from the counterattack, right? So I think it's easier, or maybe there's more space for those late runs when you're just going route 1. Whereas maybe we try to build more often, and when you're building, you need midfielders in midfield, right? So maybe it's that. I think you're right though, that of course confidence has a lot to do with it, because like I said, Eric Calvillo, like, he doesn't really start shooting from distance and things like that until he's already scored. So, and when he's the captain, I mean, you're setting the example, right? So I'm sure a young player like Emiliano is looking at how the other midfielders behave and still figuring out what's appropriate to do and decision making and all that. So, but yeah, I hope we see more of it, and I think that we should do more of this like Route 1 stuff. Like, why not? It works, and we have the pace. We have the pace and we have the athleticism, so why not?
Yeah.
Again, it's lights, so I don't know that we can do this every week.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to pick and choose who we think it's appropriate against. But yeah, I think confidence plus just going and bypassing, most of the pitch will allow you to, because then everyone's got to start running towards the ball, and then you'll of course have those late runners.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm very pleased for the young man. He was beaming.
Yeah.
Teammates were all happy for him.
It was very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was nice to see. Yeah. And I mean, we talked at the top of the show about the selection, but the subs were on point too. Like, I can't even lie. That's something that we've criticized because we felt that, or at least I have, I don't know, felt that sometimes the subs are more punitive than they are tactical.
Yeah.
But Tony Alfaro comes on and he plays that long ball.
Mm-hmm.
That ends up being the sixth. So fair play.
Yeah.
The subs were all impactful as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Have to give credit where it's due. I think we've talked about maybe Wilmer being a bit slow on the trigger. And like you said, maybe it being more about just punishing players for not playing well versus like actually impacting the game from a tactical standpoint. But in this case, certainly the impact was felt. The game ends 6-0. Obviously, we talked about it. This is a record for Locomotive in terms of margin of victory. I think 6 goals is the most they've ever scored in a game as well. So yeah, just a very resounding victory over, admittedly, like you said, a bottom of the West Las Vegas Lights team. That being said, in terms of where it leaves Locomotive for now, they do still sit 4th in the USL Western Conference, just a single point back from Sacramento and San Antonio, who are level on 27. And somehow, some way, over the last few weeks, FC Tulsa has actually pulled away and is now like the class of the West, decidedly. 35 points. So they've built a healthy 8-point gap at the top of the West.
Jeez.
Yeah. And them and Sacramento are maybe separating themselves a bit in terms of just quality, because, plus 10 goal difference for Tulsa, plus 12 for Sacramento. It does suggest that maybe there's a little bit of a difference there. But that being said, Locomotive still very much in the mix and go back above New Mexico United, who have a game in hand. But Locomotive very much in the playoff picture here out west as it stands. The next game, Mika, is a trip to the Pitbull.
Remember when I broke this to you on the podcast? That they named it Pitbull Stadium?
I don't know why the Pitbull just makes me laugh so much, like trying to make it serious in like a European way.
He pays $1.2 million annually to name it that. Anyway, I mean, he is a Miami icon, fair enough, but
hey, Mr.
the
305
Pitbull Stadium.
Yeah. So a trip to Miami, and it's funny because earlier in the season I would have said like, hey, this isn't your mom's Miami. Like, Miami's doing different stuff this year. Nope. We are who we thought they were. They kind of are ass this year. They're not very good. They've been on a just like horrible run of form. And I think it's safe to say that they basically have, from an offensive standpoint at least, they have one player. And that's Francisco Bonfilio, the Argentine forward, who has 11 league goals. The rest of the team combined has 6.
Well, that's simply not good enough. Jesus Christ.
If you were worried about Andy Cabrera scoring too many goals, let me introduce you to Francisco Bonfilio, who is literally the only person who scores for Miami.
My goodness. I mean, he's had an interesting kind of playing career, because I think he was in Villarreal's setup.
Yeah.
So, obviously good enough for, the setup of Spanish club, then comes over to Miami, and 14 goals in 24 appearances is pretty good. And you've got to be feeding off scraps. Like, I'm sure he's making a lot of these chances himself. I don't know. I mean, I haven't been watching Miami religiously, but
yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, Miami in tough form. I think they are winless since a 1-0 win over Charleston on June 15th. It's been like legit almost 2 months since their last win in any competition. They have a couple of credible draws in their recent games. They drew Pittsburgh, they drew Tulsa. So those are two like quality teams that they have drawn against, and they are getting beat by literally everybody else. So it's just it's been a difficult stretch for Miami. They are second from the bottom of the Eastern Conference now. Only Tampa Bay is below them, and the way that Tampa Bay is going now under Dom Casciato, they got a 3-1 win against Indy 11 the other day. Tampa Bay might be moving again, so Miami needs some results, but they just haven't been getting them recently. And they even had a midweek game to try to bounce back after, like I said, a decent draw against Pittsburgh last week. They played Hartford yesterday and got absolutely beat down. It was 2-0. So on the score sheet is what it is. But from an XG perspective, Hartford 2.31 to 0.79 for Miami. It was essentially all Hartford all the time in this one. So it feels like opportunity for Locomotive to keep the good times rolling, in that they're playing a team in poor form who are also going to be without Bolu Akinyode, who was sent off in this one, gives away a penalty, and the denial of a clear goal scoring opportunity gets him sent off with a straight red. So he'll be suspended for this one and will not get to face his former club. But it's a Miami side that like needs a result. And I would say Locomotive maybe on a travel like this to Miami, I am maybe I'm a bit concerned, I guess, given that some of these weird Eastern Conference matches have just not been particularly kind to Locomotive in the past.
No, yeah, you're right. I mean, the last and only time we went to Miami, we got absolutely demolished 4-0. And that was a very like Locomotive coded Miami, because I think Joaquin Rivas scored a brace, Christian Sordo had an assist, Bolo Akinyode was like destroying in midfield. That was a dark day in Locomotive history. And I can't believe that was 2 years ago. Literally almost crazy. 2 years ago to 2 years ago as of the 5th. My God.
That's wild.
I don't think we could take anything for granted. I think we're going down to play in a fucking swamp. The air in Miami is pregnant. Like the humidity is insane. And I don't think that's going to do us any favors. I think you got to do what I think is the obvious thing and start Christian Sordo against his old side. Right? I mean, surely.
Do the mark, oh gosh. His name will come to me. Mark would always play one guy against Colorado Springs, and that was the only match that he would see the light of the day. He was a winger. He was a winger.
Oh, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. I see it in my mind's eye.
It'll come to me. It'll come to me. Someone listening to this is yelling at
of course.
Like, some sicko out there.
Locomotive bar trivia.
But there was essentially deploying someone against their former side as like one motivation to like gets them in the team. And I do think it'll be important, like, and this is my one maybe criticism of Wilmer's selection is at some point, like, he's rotated well at fullback, but everywhere else in the team, we're gonna have to rotate at some point. And if the guys who are next up like don't have any sort of consistency or confidence or some fluency like with the team, we're going to suffer as a result when inevitably we have to play them, right? Like there's no scenario where the same 11 guys start every match through October. So at some point we've got to start building some confidence amongst the secondary group, if you will. And so, yeah, I would really like Sordo to start as a way to start to build some confidence among the guys who are going to be next up in the coming months and will need if we're going to make any sort of serious playoff run.
I think I figured it out. Was it Saeed Robinson?
Saeed Robinson. Yes, that's him. Absolutely. Saeed Robinson.
His 35th birthday today.
Happy birthday, Saeed.
Happy birthday, Saeed. Yo.
Forever Loco.
Forever Loco.
He actually, shout out to Saeed Robinson, because he was one of the OG like players who interacted with the podcast like very early on as well. In that second season, I think, like the COVID affected season.
Yeah.
Yeah. So shout out to Saeed Robinson. And
yeah, always. Yeah. You knew he was first name on the team sheet against Colorado.
Against Colorado Springs.
He made like over 100 appearances for Colorado Springs. So
yeah. He is like, you know, when you talk about if you talk about USL in like the same sort of way as you do with like MLB, people will talk about what cap is, what, you know, whose cap are they wearing in their Hall of Fame induction or whatever. It's the same thing of like, you know, whose kit is right. He's, you know, what sort, who's claiming this player at the end of his career. And it's like Saeed Robinson absolutely through and through would be a switchbacks player, right? Like,
for sure,
in terms of the length of time he spent there. And from our perspective, it's so funny that he'll forever be the guy that tortured switchbacks in a run of games that they did not beat Locomotive for the first like 4 years of their existence. So so yeah.
You know what I find really interesting?
What's that?
About Miami? They are first in the league for successful tackles per match.
That's wild, actually.
Which is like good and bad, right? Mm-hmm. Also, they're first for penalties conceded, yellow cards, red cards. Like, they just,
sure.
So, like, it tells me they're like flying it, and you know, fighting for their lives.
Yeah.
But I mean, apparently, they're at least getting some of these tackles right. So, I think, you know, maybe we need to be prepared for that of a feisty game, and they're right up there with possession one in the final third as well. I think fourth in the league. So
yeah. Well, worth noting,
and fourth for fouls per match. So there we go. Like, just expect war.
Yep.
Because that's all that they can do.
I was gonna say, so Gaston Madoni, their manager, Argentine, and they have 9 rostered Argentinians.
Oh, okay. Now it's making sense.
Yeah, it's wild how like the Argentine, the gaucho spirit of this team is pretty wild.
Oh no, we're done.
And so I don't know. It is,
and these are like grizzled guys too. Like Bonfilio is 23, but then like Blanco's 37, Zarate, I don't know how old he is.
Melano's 32.
Yeah, like they're older.
Yeah.
Celeste
is 31. Yeah. So
we're about to like, we might have a bad time. At least physically.
These are the fighters for sure. And I think like the vibe actually it's a little bit San Antonio, like old school San Antonio. But yeah, I think Madonia is definitely, it's clear if they're the team with the most the most tackles won and the most bookings and the most sendings off and this is a team that is, unlike Lights in the late stages of this last game, Miami is not going to stop contesting, even if they aren't necessarily in the game. They are going to keep fighting till the 90th minute. So yeah, they are also, it's worth noting that they while they haven't been good anywhere, they are slightly better at home than they are on the road. So a return home, the one benefit Locomotive has obviously is that this Miami team is coming back from Hartford. Like they played Hartford yesterday and we got a whole week in between the victory over Lights and this game in Miami. So that is the one benefit, although the travel to the East Coast, I'm sure, won't be the most fun.
I'm just perusing like Miami's website and the article introducing Gaston Madoni. Fans in Miami should expect a different style with the revamped roster under Madoni, one with aggression that will maintain positioning, which forces the opponent to play as far away from the Miami FC goal as possible. Okay, great.
One with aggression.
I mean, he's had a hell of a career in Argentina, scouting and being involved with Boca Juniors, and then he was an assistant coach at Racing Club, another huge club. So, he's not the only Argentine coaching in South Florida. It's not just Javier Mascherano. So, yeah, this will be an interesting one for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that about brings us to the end, I think. We will have... We'll be back post Miami. I don't know. I guess we haven't spoken about whether we'll do a watch along or not, but it is a bit of an earlier kickoff
for us, not for you.
For
you, it's like a reasonable time, right?
It's a normal, yeah. When I told it was actually funny because talking to Erica, normally I'm like, yeah, Locomotive's on Saturday. They kick off at 9 or 10 or whatever. And when I was like, yeah, Locomotive plays at 7, she's like prime time. Like, why are they playing like at a normal time and not the middle of the night? But yeah, so they kick off at 7 Eastern, so 5 I guess 5 Mountain, and so anyways, we'll have to play by ear, I guess, whether we can pull off a watch along. The last watch along we did of a away match at Miami was obviously that one that you talked about, which was not good. So we'll see, we shall see, but yeah. Those watch-alongs, when they do happen, if you haven't caught them before, are on YouTube and Twitch. So tune in if you're ever jonesing during an away match. And other than that, check us out on the big podcast players. We're on all of them, and we'll be back probably sometime after Miami to talk about what's going on and hopefully another Locomotive win. But until next time, Stay local.